So, Thomas, as of recording this, we're seeing two Chinese aircraft carriers operate in the Indo-Pacific. I want to speak specifically about the Liaoning, the one that's in the Western Pacific. Do you think this deployment is trying to send a message to Taiwan like we've seen in previous exercises or transits by this carrier?
Obviously, when it comes to something moving in the Taiwan Strait or the east of Taiwan, it has to be about Taiwan. And with these recent movements, I don't necessarily see like a particular reason why Taiwan may have allegedly made a provocation against the PRC to do something to conduct these exercises. And like frankly, based on the movements, they don't look like that. They look like a normal kind of transit, normal exercise, things that the PRC Navy would like to do, going and regularizing operations in the Western Pacific and slowly moving further east in the Pacific Ocean. Things could change on the way back. When the carrier returns, there could be that's when like a Taiwan related exercise could occur. But as of today, it looks like a normal operation in the Western Pacific.
As China continues to modernize its military, specifically its navy, do you think we're going to see more of these exercises geared less towards Taiwan and sending a signal and more to just training in general?
The PRC now has two aircraft carriers. They're not just going to sit somewhere in port. They're going to be operating regularly in the same way that other countries and other navies have aircraft carriers. So, while given the state of cross-strait relations, U.S.-China relations, any movement of these two carriers is going to be looked at and analyzed with a magnifying glass. But there will come a time where, like, yes, you don't necessarily have to cry wolf every time the Shandong or the Liaoning operate. You look at, well, what is the circumstances that cause the specific movements? Is there something larger going on with the aircraft carrier movements? And we don't really see that. And if you look at the map of the movements over the last couple of years, you could argue that these movements are not necessarily even about Taiwan. They're more to the Philippines east, further south, and to Taiwan's east. So we don't really talk about what is the intimidation of these aircraft carriers operating in what is essentially the Philippine Sea. Why is the conversation always about intimidating Taiwan when, given the state of PRC Philippine relations in the South China Sea, we have an aircraft carrier operating on both sides of the Philippines? We have one in the South China Sea and one in the Philippine Sea.
There's been a lot of speculation about how advanced China's navy and its military is. Where do you think we are in terms of having capabilities to go out deep into the Western Pacific?
So yeah, they do have capabilities, like that's clear. They have two aircraft carriers that are now able to operate in the Western Pacific, but they're getting better at things. And like we saw with like the air defense identification zone incursions, we're on year 4.5 of those. So they started in September 2020 regularly, and it took them a long time to go from the South China Sea and then using provocations or so-called provocations to move further north and now around Taiwan. So obviously they're going to need to have more aircraft carriers. They're going to need to be able to carry more aircraft and fly more sorties off of them and practice that in the Western Pacific. So I think we should keep an eye on those things and how they relate to other intimidation tactics of Taiwan. And yeah, over the next couple of years, we're likely going to see greater competencies. We may see them moving further east, closer to Guam or Hawaii, and then that may be determinant on what U.S.-China relations are, not necessarily China-Taiwan relations.